It is milestone.
Do you see that it's recording on your screen, or did you get any like audio that
Oh
it's
yeah, I see
recording?
recording.
You
Yeah.
see now? Okay, great. Um, okay, great, man. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 80 of High Top Flip Flops, the first of, I suppose, many virtual episodes that we will be recording. As always, this is Krish, and I'm here with Navik. How you doing, man?
Hey, it is. It's Nivek. All right, and we're here, and we're back, and we're here to feed the streets. We're here to flood them with this new content because this is a new podcast.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
This is tell them why it's new. Tell them why it's new.
It's new mainly because we not only decided to record one at this day, at this time,
Hmm.
but it's also new because, you know, we're back and we're better than ever.
Oh wow. Okay. Drop the Bryson
And
Tiller line. Okay.
is that really?
Yeah, isn't that from is that Bryson Tiller?
Actually, he probably said that. That's what we're
Something
at.
about
That's where
being
we're at.
back and he's better, you know? Isn't that in don't? Anyways, doesn't matter.
And the thing is like that. Like, let's be real. The vibe is different. Like
Yeah,
this way,
it's
because
different.
I like to feel Krish. I
That's
like
right.
to give him a pat on the back.
I like to
I
touch
like
my
to,
boys, you know? Just give me a little
yeah. You gotta touch
just
your
one of
boy
those, you know?
once, twice, 16 times, and I also wanna say things and then say things that have no content, no value whatsoever, and then hit the soundboard
Mm.
as well.
Yeah, that's a big miss, I will say. There is a way around it, I will say that. But there won't be a way for both of us to have access to it, you know? Which is, I think that was a big thing as well, as you you hitting the soundboard when it was least expected, or comedic timing plays a big part, but we can figure out a way.
It's- it definitely does. It, it
Yeah.
definitely does. I can say that.
And also,
Okay.
I think something that I'll certainly miss, about doing this in person, what I'll say I'll look forward to doing, when we can kind of safely do this in person again, is really feeling the like discomfort of our guests when you hit them with like when you hit them with like a one liner that they just don't expect, or you hit them with like a left jab that they didn't expect.
Yeah, like I can't feel that on this.
Yeah,
Like I can see it on their face, but that does nothing
that's right.
for me internally, because when you're sitting next to the person, you share their energy. So when you say a bullshit line, you feel the bullshit in the air,
That's right.
most importantly. And that's what this damn pandemic has taken from me,
That's right.
you know. But no, it's done a lot for a
That's
lot
right.
of people. That's much worse.
Yeah.
So
Truly, truly.
honestly, like I got tested 5 times.
Wow.
Um, Very grateful I was negative all 5 times.
Damn.
Very lucky. Everybody around me, not everybody around me, but a few people here and there have had it, and I was fortunate enough not to get it. And
Yeah. Oh my
for
gosh.
that, I say thank you.
Say
Yeah, saying
I say
thank
thank you to my health.
you.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
thank
me.
you to
Thank
my
me.
health.
Okay.
Yeah, ultimately. Um,
That's fair,
but
man.
Krish, let's get to the real stuff. You know what I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm here to say to you right now.
Go ahead.
Okay. How have you been?
Fuck off.
Because I haven't spoken to you since the last podcast. Because I only like to speak to you during the podcast.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's
Contrary to popular belief, we actually hate each other. So we do this
yeah.
for our parents. It's like it's their dying wish, to, to to see their sons spend an hour and a half online together twice a week or twice a month.
You know,
Um,
I saw a trailer for a podcast, and the whole thing was it would be different celebrities saying, "Yeah, they need a podcast. You should get a podcast." And trust me, nobody wants people to get a podcast. Even good podcasts, we don't want them, you
oh
know,
my gosh.
because there's always people that just do not want to have an audio experience, you know? And personally, I'm a big audiophile,
Mm,
so I love some good audio,
I'm a
you know.
sound guy.
Yes.
I'm a real
Yeah.
sound guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can imagine a sound guy, that sound guy be adjusting, just constantly adjusting.
Hey, is this at 120 kpbs or is this 320? I just wasn't sure. I don't have my Sennheisers on today, you know.
Yeah, they hate beats, so they'll have like sinuses or something you get at Canada Computers or
The clip
something.
shot, yo, a little clip, clip shot,
Whoa.
little throwback. Shout out to Clips, man.
Wow. Clips. Clips. That's very, very rare and very deep.
Yeah, like a short-lived Canadian audio company. Um, but listen, to answer your question, Nivek, I'm doing okay. You know, I think I'm glad that we're sitting here doing this. We're finally kind of kickstarting this for the year. It's wild to me, man. I think thinking about this podcast, thinking about what you just said, how you saw a trailer for a podcast. It just goes to show I can't help but think. I think especially in the past, almost a year in which we haven't recorded, um I can't help but think just how much podcasting has like evolved and kind of grown. And it's funny that you said that because it's funny that you said, like, not everyone needs a podcast, even the ones that we've heard. Because I can't lie to you, man. I definitely thought to myself in the past 7 8 months, like, should we end this? Like, is there a need for I talk flip flops anymore because of just how many podcasts there are? And you know, yeah, I mean, ultimately, in a positive way, so much of what we want to do in terms of who we interview and um, the voices and the stories that we want to put out there. A lot of them are getting the platforms that they deserve. Because of how accessible to a certain degree podcasting has become. And yeah, just in the ways that it's evolved. People out here making trailers, the audiogram, Instagram posts. Like, not only have we have we never done any of that, even though we've known it was there. It's very clear that, like, there's not only was benefits to that, but it's contributed to the growth of people wanting to podcast. Did that ever cross your mind to be like, yo, should we dead it? Should we keep going? You know, yeah. Is that something that ever crossed your mind?
No, it definitely has. Just because, like, even with this year, like, praying that we get our vaccines by September,
Mm,
and everybody else gets it that we're going to interview as well. You know, uh, and I know that would be difficult. And
yeah,
yeah, we could do the Zoom thing, but to me, it always feels a bit off. You know,
yeah,
and you're waiting for people to speak and stuff like that, and you do that in real life as
right,
well, but it's more natural, obviously, in real life. Whereas this is like, uh, it feels more actually under pressure
yeah.
when you're like this. It's
Mm,
more easygoing, I guess, in person. But we can't. This is what we've been given.
all right,
We can't really change anything there.
that's right.
So yeah, I have thought about it. Because of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
man, totally fair. I mean, that's ul- it's ultimately why we didn't record. I mean, not to say that last year wasn't tough. I don't think it's. I think that's self-explanatory. Um, but that was also just like that was a massive change. I don't. I mean, I'm curious to know if you felt the same way, but it was just a change I was kind of like unwilling to accept. To be like, oh yeah, we're just going to transition to uh this remote interviewing, because so much of the allure of like doing the podcast the way we did was like we would meet people sometimes in obscure place, like we'd meet them at like a Ryerson study room, or like if a guest was comfortable enough to like invite us into their home, that just like that plays such a massive part of how the interview goes and what they feel comfortable speaking about. Like you said, there's no lag. um I can't deny that, like, you know doing the Zoom committing to doing the Zoom interviews this year, like, I'm worried, but like how the energy will be if there's like a 10 not 10 second, but like a couple seconds delay, of like jokes hitting, or like someone like really really getting into a conversation. um I think having known that, like, yeah, there's just a lot more difficulties, to some degree, a little bit more preparation, to be like, hey, is your internet good? What kind of mic do you have? What's the lighting like in your room? Um,
Yeah.
I can't deny that, like, I'm just sounding like I'm just like, I don't want to do the work. But I mean, on one hand, yeah, it was maybe that. But on the other hand, it was also like just feeling like it was a loss, right? I was in many ways, it felt like we were kind of grieving, like, the fact that doing it the way that we did, and, like, traveling around the GTA to like record these is just this kind of routine that we lost out on.
Yeah, and also this break, or not break, but this pandemic really tests podcasters and
Oh yeah.
really separates the podcaster from the person that tells people they're podcasters.
Oh, talk to him.
Because the podcaster would try to be like, let's figure this out. Let's try to keep recording. Let's keep this thing on going on the show. And I'm not saying that we were the other thing, because we've been in the game. It's more or less because podcasting's still new. What'd you
Mhm.
say? It really started in like 2010, maybe,
Yeah,
right?
you have the people who are like doing podcasting before the like in the early 2000s. In 2010, definitely popped off the 2010s, and I feel like 2020, definitely podcasting became massive. A lot more money going into it. A lot more money going into it in the 2010s. But yeah, you're right. Less than it's probably been less than 30 years of it. Still quite in its infancy.
Yeah, and when did we come in the game? 2016. We've been in the
2016.
game
That's right.
early. That was early because when did Spotify even drop? When did Apple Music, when the streaming services come into play? Like probably 2016, right?
So
Maybe
24
2015.
20, I think 2000, I looked this up just the other day. So Spotify was created in 2009, and it only became available for Canadians, like, widespread, in 2014.
Hmm.
And even then, in terms of podcast distribution, um they were like originally just like hand selecting the best kind of podcasts, and only in the past 2 years have they, not even, only in the past year or so, you know by purchasing like Anchor, which was like a major podcast distributing platform, have they now made it easy for anyone and everyone to kind of put it on there, right? And I think, yes, like the iTunes podcast app, Google Play, SoundCloud, etc. These platforms have always made it pretty easy, but people want it on the big platforms, right? So like getting that cosign, or getting those companies to kind of be like, all right, we're we're making it this accessible now. It definitely is a signal, right? And it's only going to lead to more people doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're on the ball there. But with the whole podcasters from the people who say they're podcasters thing, it's people who came in the game maybe in 2019,
Okay.
and then hit the pandemic and then had to and then stop and left.
I see.
You
Right.
know, we did take a break, but we're coming back.
We're
You
here.
know,
That's right.
even if we're going to do one episode a year for the
That's
next
right.
10 years,
Keep the account alive, man.
yeah, let's do one episode, catch them up,
Right.
you know,
Right.
because they'll have a lot to talk about.
It's true. Every year.
You know?
Hey, what'd you do last year?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
um, but no, man, no. The way I see it is like this year, you know, we got what 40 something weeks ahead of us. This is episode 80. I think we always wanted to see through to episode 100, which I think is a massive achievement. So let's try and aim for it. A lot of cool people to still talk to, a lot of great interviews to still host. We now have a cheeky excuse to try and reach out to international folks, people who don't necessarily live in the
Oh,
GTA.
that's true.
And, so let us know, if you're watching this on YouTube or I never do this correctly, let us know however, wherever there's someone, that isn't necessarily from Toronto or from the GTA, who's got a neat story, make some cool art. Let us know. We'd love to explore them. I can't deny that's something that I definitely stopped doing when we took a break from the podcast, was just like exploring, new artists or neat stories that are kind of coming out, and people, not to say that like I was completely removed from the world, but um yeah, I'll be just thinking about the onslaught of news we not only receive, but just the heaviness of it, you know from last year and into this year too. I definitely was just like, man, I'm almost okay not learning about new stuff right now, including
Mhm.
the things that I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, and also you said with the global aspect of this, I do not want to speak with anyone from Great Britain. Anywhere from the UK, everywhere else, definitely. I don't want to hear the accent this year. Okay, okay.
There's a
I
lot of
we're
people you're dissing
we've
right now, man.
we've had enough. All right, it's too much.
Okay, hold on.
Right,
Where did this stem from?
what do you guys have so far? What's that show? You guys got ITV over there or something? Like, stop.
Channel 4, bro. Shout out Channel 4.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay,
Oh,
where did this hatred stem from? This came out of left field. I wasn't prepared for this.
I don't know. The whole thing about them being 6 hours, what, later than us?
Yeah.
That kind of annoy bugs me. Like, we gotta start at the same time. All right.
You're about to say
Um,
catch up, but then you're like, oh shit, they're ahead. Never mind.
'cause I don't want us to catch up because that would mean us doing actual work to catch up. I don't want that. Chill a little bit. Let the time start at the same time. How about that?
Okay.
Um, Also, I just my brain can't take another in it. You know,
Oh, okay.
I just don't want it. You know.
To our UK listeners, I just want to put a PSA and say this is out of pocket from Navek. Um, I'm still trying to get to the bottom of who hurt him, what happened to him. What? Yeah, what happened? Who hurt you?
Actually, you know what? I don't think I know many people from the UK to begin with. Maybe it's like six, under
Okay.
four
Okay.
people. Um, but I think there's actually a couple cool people over there.
Oh yeah.
Like two,
This guy
two out
gave
of the
it some
whole,
thought.
two out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. But yeah, no. Portugal, shout out Portugal, shout out Argentina, shout out Malaysia,
Mhm.
shout out shout out everybody coming from Jackson Hole, China.
Is
Did you
that a
know about
place?
that?
I don't know about Jackson Hole.
You know, there's a hole in China. Jackson Hole. Is it is it even Jackson Hole in Wyoming?
I didn't know this. Okay. Jackson Hole is like a town in Wyoming. Oh wait, is Wyoming a state?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And they took Jackson Hole, and then there's a whole Jackson Hole in China where it's all outside and animals and I think leaves, grass. It's exactly when you think of Wyoming naturally, it's
Okay.
there. So it's kind of an interesting thing. They create these communities to replicate, Western society and vice versa, probably.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know what's going on in
they're,
the States.
they're Beijing
Then,
and Arkansas.
yeah. There's probably a Beijing in Arkansas.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
For sure. I love how
That's
you're like, oh, it's naturally the same. You're like, oh, it's the whole outside. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, because there's no nature in China.
yeah. Actually, yeah. I don't. Do I even know what anything about China? All I know about China. I know.
What's that?
I know that shout out to Victor. He would go to China and there would be these pretty much malls, but these little shops on
Hmm.
top of one another, hundreds of little shops
Hmm.
next to each other, and then you can bargain with them.
Mm,
I think majority are fakes, but they have like real stuff
tons of
and
stuff.
guys on YouTube that do that. You
Oh
know, they
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they go and they go for the sake of bargaining,
I spent
and then
250,000 on fake Yeezys.
yeah, pretty much. And Victor would force me to watch those videos like years ago.
Mm.
I was finding it interesting, but I mean, not for me, but interesting thing for other people to do.
Yeah, a little content,
Yeah.
Sorry, why did we bring up Jackson Hole?
I was saying giving shout outs, and then I shouted out Jackson Hole,
Jackson Hole, China, not
China.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Not at all.
Okay,
Not the other one.
okay. Um, shout out to anyone from the UK listening as well. I think Nivek's just, I'm gonna speak on his behalf and say it's not personal. Um, yeah, the two or three of you that he said he likes, you're probably the people who listen to this podcast. That's what we'll tell ourselves, anyways.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it
think
was
Nivek also
dope.
just wanted to start the year off with a beef. I think we just need that little bit of spice in our life. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, ultimately, don't take any of this seriously just because I've been stuck.
Been in
You know,
hibernation, man.
I'm trying to get out of this rut. So naturally, I'm just throwing ideas at a board, seeing which one sticks. So
I'm just swatting.
yeah. So what did I try so
I'm
far?
sorry.
I tried Jackson Hole. It missed the board. I tried the UK hate. Um, stick stuck. A little bit, but I don't want that there
Okay.
because there's like a couple cool people out there. There's shout out RIP Amy Winehouse.
Mm.
Um, from
That's
there,
the first.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think who else is really out there. Yeah, no one fire. Like,
Incredible. Incredible. This guy.
who like
You can't think of
um
anyone else.
FK Twigs.
Okay.
She's fire. I like Heady One. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm trying to think of names at this point,
That's
but
okay.
no,
Hey,
let's stop with that
that's
disrespect. They're
okay.
actually a good people, and we actually share a bean liking.
A what?
Liking to beans.
Oh, yes, the
So
baked beans.
they did the breakfast thing. I did the snack thing.
Right.
It's like
It's like every kind of meal thing for the bake.
yeah, we're almost country cousins.
I mean, hey, listen, we got colonized by the same people too. Still got ties there. So I was gonna say shout out to them for that, but no shout outs for colonization. Um,
Um,
let's talk about the rut that you mentioned though, because man, the year's been a rut for sure. I feel like the year started out a little hectic for you too. Um, Tell us a little bit about your Marvin Gaye incident.
Yeah, so man, this is something I have in common with the late great Marvin Gray. Singing Gray.
The Marvin Gray. It's a guy I used to
Damn,
work with. Yeah.
Marvin Gray.
He's a great
you know,
accountant.
I work with Marvin Gray. No, I got R.I.P. First of all, Marvin Gaye. You know what's going on? Classic straight slappers he was making in 1970 throughout the
Hmm.
entire. I think 60. I think he might have passed away in 1975. Maybe very wrong. He might have passed away in the 80s or,
He may have
but
passed in the 2000s. I think he may have passed
no,
last year.
we should look. He's the goat. Shout out to
Hmm.
him. But I'm saying there's something in common because he was unfortunately murdered by his father,
Mm.
and my father tried to murder me in early January.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Yeah, I won't go into some details. Definitely some petty details involving computer knowledge.
Mm.
And it ended up going to, he probably had some frustration built up. Because I want you to know, like, you may think like you have no haters at all and you live a free life, but there's someone always thinking about you in a hateful way. It's
Mm.
very weird, personally. Um, you know, but my dad asked me to move my car. My car was parked behind his car, one of those driveways where it's one car after the other.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was getting into my vehicle, the 2011 Toyota Matrix that I actually was fortunate enough to cop in 2020, because my old vehicle was almost garbage and I sold it to Victor for about a very low price.
Oh shit.
Some may call a big steal.
Mm.
No, it's not though. It was under 500, and it was definitely worthy of the price due to the condition
Right.
that I put it through. Condition meaning, you know, two people hit me with that car.
That's right.
But sorry, back to what happened. So 2011 Toyota Matrix, you guys know how I feel about that. You know, that type of car. I'm in the car 3 seconds into it. My my father reverses his car right into mine.
Oh my God.
And I also thought it was a quick job, so I also took a cup of tea and I was drinking that while I was going out, and the tea flew everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
A disaster in the entire car. And he did this, and then what's hilarious though is he did get out of the car. He started screaming, fuck you at me for some reason. But he did, somebody reminded me. Do you remember that drop that I don't know if you still have that, but the bloody fuck you drop?
I do remember that drop.
Like, I always thought that was funny because I didn't think that was possible to hear in real life.
All right.
But I heard it in real life,
Damn, man.
you know, by my own father. And what happened after that was, I just drove around, mm, chilled, grabbed a KFC chicken sandwich because I wanted to try it. They
Mm-hmm.
competitors with Popeyes had to give it a go. And I also shared it with some friends, the story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of interesting because the story was, to the average person, extremely traumatic.
Right.
Uh, but then I explained it like it was a funny story to some friends.
Right.
And then it gave me the great idea. How can I flip this into some content?
No. No.
Okay. And you know what I'm doing? One of my friends, I haven't pitched this to him yet, but
Okay.
the
Public
pressure's
pitch
on
right
him.
now. Pitch right now. Go ahead.
The pressure's on him because this is going out soon. All right, Guyan, you need to, because he films a lot of short films, writes them, and
Mm-hmm.
then films them himself. Has all the professional work. He's been doing it for years as well, so I have to give it up to him. I hope they'll allow me to write this
Mm.
treatment
Okay.
for him to have to shoot. Maybe write it together.
Okay.
And how it's gonna go, it's gonna be I'm playing the dad. So I'm gonna be playing my father.
Oh wow.
And then we're gonna have to find somebody to play me.
Some real honey boy shit.
It is. It is. And so I would play my dad, and then I would be all angry because I can perform it well.
I could, yeah.
And then it goes from the character playing myself to being frustrated in the moment to later telling it as a funny story to like his boys, and then it
Mm.
being one of these things that makes you think.
Mm.
Like, you really gotta think to get
Right, right,
this.
right, right, right. You have to deep it.
Like this is not no the big short, you know. This is not a
It's not Roma. It's not Roma.
it's not Roma. It's not Roma. It's not a Roma. It's it's the whip. It's called the whip. Uh,
Oh my god.
but uh
Oh my gosh.
Guyan, take some time when you listen to this. Don't shoot it down immediately. Maybe go have a glass of water on a balcony. Sip
Little
it slow.
H2O.
Think about it. Thoroughly think
Gotta
about it.
deep it.
you, you gotta really think. Oh man,
Right.
hey, fans and viewers, can we stop thinking this year? Stop thinking. No more thought.
No more thought. No more thought. Just content.
Okay. No more thought. Just give it to me raw. Okay. I don't want your thoughts being sieved or
Mm,
going through like a sieve, like you're pouring some milk that you just boiled.
okay.
You know, you're just pouring your thoughts. I just give you the milk,
Right.
raw, nasty, and real.
Unpasteurized.
um, what do you have to say about that, Krish?
What do I have to say? Well, I think we found the title for this episode first and foremost. Two, I think it's wild that you experienced that. I mean, I think we've talked about it a little bit before, not really on the podcast, but just I mean, something you mentioned to me was like just thinking to yourself, like, how can a person have that much anger like built up inside them? You know, um, yeah, it's like um, it's always a bit scary, particularly when it's in your own home or like in your own circles. And I think with parents or like even people a little bit older than us too, the like not the scary part, but the part that like you ultimately have to a certain degree kind of like accept. Even that is like a strong thing to say, but it ends up being like something you have to embrace to a certain degree, is like seeing a change in that person is out of your control. So like how you move forward from there needs to happen like regardless of them changing, because the probability of that is like very slim, right?
Also, can I say this?
Yeah.
To the people that said their advice was, "Oh, why don't you talk to him?" Thank you. Oh my, are you a therapist? Did you go to school for several years for this type of knowledge? Thank you, you genius. Oh my goodness, such a good idea. Whoa, I didn't think of that at all.
Fuck,
Speech was not
man.
even.
Yeah. What have I done for the past 26 years of my life? Yeah, seriously though.
and and for real though, you know, sometimes when you're faced with this type of solution, this type of problem, the the solution is something drastic.
Mm,
You know, the solution has to be something drastic. In this case, you know, I'm fortunate enough to hopefully, well, I should be in a couple months. By March, I'm looking to moving out.
yeah, man.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's a
shout out
big
to
step.
Savithan. Savithan, you better hold your end of the bargain, bro, because I need you. No, no, I'm kidding. No, there's no pressure. Obviously, if you can't, then I'm gonna have to get the Dolo spot.
No, bad.
But ultimately, what I want is a pot house.
Mm,
You know, most men, ever since they were children or boys, they had this dream of potting, you know, with other men
that's right.
in the comfort of their own home.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had that,
Mm,
and now I will. And you know, Chris will be able to come over. It'll be a COVID-free space,
right,
so there's no COVID allowed. You know,
right.
if you have COVID, you can't get in. Sorry.
Okay, good to know. Thanks, man. Makes me feel safe.
Oh, by the way, can I say this? Because yeah, this happened like last. So I'm talking about something that happened last August
Oh
or
shit,
July because we didn't even pod this last May, so I could
it's
say
true.
this. But my maintenance landlord gave him COVID,
Jesus Christ.
you know, and he
To
got
those,
COVID.
to those who are new to listening, Maine is a friend of the show, a good friend in the Vakes. He moved out probably around that time, maybe a couple months beforehand, and wow, yeah.
Can you imagine? And you know what you know the funniest thing is? That's not even the wild part. The funny thing is he sent him a text and he said, "We're don't worry, we're in this together."
Oh
Some
my.
bullshit like yeah, you know when
Wow.
when you say like come and drive into Toronto, it says "Welcome to Toronto. We're in this COVID-19 thing together." Some bullshit
Mm-hmm,
like that. He
mm-hmm.
just took it from that
Just
damn
copied and
billboard
pasted. Yeah.
and said in the like, how dare you say that
How
and not
dare you?
offer like rent off or something
I was about to say, how
like.
dare you say that? And then follow up text is, hey, just a FYI, rent is due in 2 weeks. Like,
Basically, it was like one of those texts. Oh man, landlords. Hey, if you're a landlord, like message us, and maybe you'll be a guest. Because I want to know how you guys think.
yeah,
You
that's a
evil
very good point.
snakes. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, I
You
cut
gotta know. We
you.
gotta talk about it. No, no, no. It's a very good point because there's, yeah. I mean, it's hard not to it's hard not to feel like you can't be an ethical landlord. Mind you, I'm sure there are good ones. But I want to know more about how you be a good landlord and yeah, how that becomes more widespread for sure. Um, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited for you to kind of enter that chapter of your life, man. Living, having a space of your own, kind of ridding yourself of these very challenging and kind of extremely frustrating relationships. And yeah, man, having a space for the pod. I mean, that's really tertiary to everything else we've kind of spoken about here. But
No,
hey, man.
man, it's gonna be good. There's gonna be. I have a setup of the furniture in mind.
Oh, I see.
On I'm getting a lot of chairs, a
Okay,
lot of comfortable chairs, a nice coffee table, big coffee table.
nice.
To support that. I'm definitely considering that. And I also have to say, it's not all easy moving
Mm,
out.
no.
It's not all, because I want to do it just so, have friends to play games, in my living room,
Mm-hmm.
cook dinners, I want to make pasta by hand for
Mm,
people. It's not all that good stuff. Some nights I'm really going to have to cook and like
yeah,
make some Mr. Noodles combination.
that's right.
Whereas I could be at my mom's house and she can make me like she could have a meal,
It's true.
ready.
It's true.
But I'm choosing this because I'm choosing my sanity at the same time. I'm putting my mental health above everything
That's right.
unnecessary. And I do get it. I'm in the position to do that. You have to like I'm 26.
Mm,
Realistically I wanted to do this when I was 20.
right.
Because this is not new. Like this is the worst it's gotten with
Mm,
my dad, and I was, that happened this year.
mm-hmm.
Maybe if it happened like much earlier when I was like 21 or 22, it would have been tougher. I would have probably left at that time, but it would have been much harder.
Right.
So, it is interesting because I tell people because it was my plan to move out. We were thinking about moving out around March, April, last October.
Wow. Okay.
And I've been telling people, we're thinking about getting out, and they're all like, "No, you need to, put that money for a down for a $1 million home in Bowmanville."
That's right.
like,
For real.
like they're really like, "Oh, you need to get that." And even in Bowmanville, it's probably at like 600,000, and I would never want to live there. But
Yeah.
regardless, I'd be like, "Yeah, that's you're not wrong. Like it's always better to purchase than rent." But my situation's whack.
Yeah.
And then I tell them about this, and they're all like, "Yeah, you know what? If you need help, I'll help you, find a spot or
Mm-hmm.
whatever." And they all
Mm-hmm.
immediately understand right after this.
Yeah.
But it took, this big moment.
Right.
You know?
And it kind of gets frustrating too when it's like it has to reach an extreme, right? It has to reach an extreme for before someone says, "Okay, yeah, I think that's a good idea."
Mhm.
Um, because I think that's also internalized for ourselves sometimes too. But I think it's not just as black and white as like, oh yeah, just because things got really bad, that's why I'm gonna do it. It's also like what you said too. Like you have to be in a position financially to be able to like make that leap. Um, you have to like be prepared, not just mentally, but like you said, like living on your own is very different from having a family support or just living, yeah, with living with people who've kind of provided or played the role of like, caregivers or caretakers in our lives, right? That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to get used to. And I think you raise a good point, right? Like, yeah, think about it. If you, if it was, 21, 22, uh, I would have been around when we first started this podcast too, right? You think about who you were as a person at that point. I mean, even just thinking to myself, who I was as a person at that point. I was fortunate to live on my own. Well, live with roommates, but live away from family for a few years. And like, I look back and I'm like, damn, I didn't fare that well, you know. I
Mm.
I, I didn't. I definitely struggled with routine. I struggled with like staying on top of things. By far, like
Yeah.
my third and fourth year of while at university were absolutely my poorest academically as a result of like just not having my shit together, and not having like the very kind of like essential things set out for myself, like eating properly, like getting a good sleep cycle in, feeling like, I covered all my basic needs, which, I'm sure, now at the age of 26, you having, learned as much as you have about yourself, having like focused as much as you have, and just in terms of like feeling like you can regulate yourself a lot more, and like learning how to cook shit, and just taking more responsibility for yourself financially as well, with your car and things like that. It adds up. It makes the transition feel less daunting. It's not everything all at once.
Yeah, and you do make a good point with you moved out at 18, and I wasn't built for that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I could have done that successfully where I moved out right at 18. Like that is asking a lot
Mm-hmm.
out of a kid, and a lot of you did well. Like you adjusted so fast.
Right.
But a lot of people had a tough time, and that makes sense too.
Definitely. Definitely.
Like I think I wouldn't have even like maybe until I was 23, 24 when I was feeling like, yeah, okay, from here on I could potentially leave and still be okay,
Yeah.
you know, just be
Mm-hmm.
okay in every aspect other than financially, it's every other aspect as
Right.
well.
Right. Yeah. It
Mhm.
is like it is a big leap. I think it is a big leap, and obviously, if you're understandably, if you're in a position where like, yeah, I want to think about what I'm going to say, because it's never just like, oh yeah, when you're like comfortable or safe, because in the situation you've described with your dad, or in situation that we, people that we know who are close to us or we love, or have experienced too. It's like home isn't always like the most like conducive environment for like comfort, or like feeling cared for necessarily, but like we can still have those basic needs met, right? It's like, yeah, I got a bed to stay, I've got food here, access to a car, laundry, internet, etc. Maybe there's one person in the household who you kind of feel comfortable interacting with, maybe not, but you have those basics kind of covered, right? Um, Making the like leap to like do that all on your own is definitely hard if you don't feel, yeah, you have the agency to be like, yeah, I can kind of take control of my life in this way. Um, Especially if it's like, I want to be careful about the words I use here, but especially if it's like you don't have to leave your home scenario, if it means that like, you can draw boundaries about who you interact with in the home, or when you're in the home with other people, etc. you know if it's not the case where your your life or your health is kind of like in immediate danger, understandably, you people are going to stay put, right? Because like you said, there's not only financial burden. I think especially in the past year, my god, um that's just a challenge in and of itself to do, right?
Yeah.
um but it's also like, yeah, it's a big leap. So when you have that place, um you may, yeah, it makes it a lot harder to kind of make that jump, right?
Mhm. Yeah, most definitely. And that's where my new family experiences will probably be,
Mm-hmm.
things I always wanted to do, but was kind of unable to
Yeah.
in my past, well, the past places I lived at, I'll
Mm-hmm.
say,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a big difference between a house and a home, you know,
Yeah, man. It's very true.
and yeah, and I look forward to that. And most importantly, I look forward to the damn classics we're gonna make in that damn house,
Mm,
you know?
that's right.
We're gonna I'm not kidding, like we're gonna like first day we're gonna probably record.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
know, first day in, like gotta do a first day in pod.
Okay.
And also just to let McCown and Finch know I might be coming back.
Wow. That's
You
very
know,
exciting. That's very exciting.
yeah, because a friend, friend of the pod, Janish, is moving out of his spot in right next to my old high school.
Wow.
Uh,
Kept it close.
the
Kept it
thing is,
close to home.
yeah, it's a nice spot. The rent is good, two parking spaces, and the location is, you know, the food central. You're in food central right there. You're in um, central for all your boys. You know,
That's right.
because trust me, all the boys live at McCown and Finch.
Shout out Albert
Like
Campbell. Shout out Milliken Park.
they do for real.
That's right.
And I might make my return there, and I expect a red carpet. I'm gonna. I expect,
Wow.
that rolled out for me, and I maybe a nice edible arrangement.
Mm, okay.
I don't know.
Talking edible arrangement or edible arrangement?
You know what? We're looking at fruits because
Okay.
also this year for snacks I'm only eating fruits.
Wow. Okay.
I'm keeping it real with everybody.
Yeah, Navik's really on his he got that Pharrell skincare routine and a fruit and water only diet. Positive vibes only.
Yeah, is that really that? I mean, it makes sense.
I don't
It
know.
makes
I don't
sense
know.
though. Yeah, damn. That guy Pharrell, he looks good, man.
He's
He,
got
he's
incredible skin.
he's 47,
It's yeah, it's wild.
and but we also have to realize he's a millionaire celebrity, so it's not like he doesn't have quick access to looking
That's
good at 47,
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. He'll definitely still hit you with the like, hey, just drink water and positive vibes only, you know?
yeah.
Making my skin so clear.
Well, he says the exfoliating. He exfoliates a lot,
Mm.
but like, I mean, it's possible, but yeah, he also has like once you make the grinding beat, I feel like you have like eternal life.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You know, it's like once you make certain things or do certain things, like for example, when Playboy Cardi and Whole Lotta Red,
Mm.
like once you make something that changes like the economy, then I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know why I said
You
economy.
rock the stock markets.
Yeah, there's a correlation there,
There is.
somewhere there. But Krish, I want to know what you've been using to kind of handle, how you've been the past
Yeah.
few months. What you've been watching, listening to, doing.
Fair man. This is yeah, good question. I've it's funny to at the start of I think we talked about this in the last episode we did. But definitely was like a lot of just rewatching or listening to things that I'd already listened to because it was a source of comfort to listen or experience something that was familiar, right?
Mm,
Um, I think I was, something that I try and do every year is create monthly playlists, and at the end of the year, kind of look back on them um, on Spotify. And Spotify Wrapped is always a bit funny because it just exposes you for all the junk that you listen to more than other
oh,
stuff.
yeah.
But uh, doing this is always like a fun way of kind of like going back and checking out different artists or different sounds that you kind of like listen to in the year. Um, yeah, I think this past year I like really enjoyed like a lot more like electronic production. Yeah, I think I don't know. On top of what I would regularly listen to, I just really fell in love with this artist named Floating Points. who's a British like electronic producer. But yeah, just makes some really really incredible music, with ton of different influences, kind of wrapped up all into one. Yeah, I would say he's still someone that I'm kind of like listening to as time passes. But no, I don't know. I think I like struggle to even look back on 2020 and be like, oh yeah, what were the major releases that like I really enjoyed? I don't want to say it's hard to think about them because there are tons out there, but um, yeah, I feel like I can't deny, especially with music, it's just kind of like I'm just kind of rolling. I'm doing my best to like explore new stuff. Um, Maybe I haven't been digging hard enough, but yeah, I it's maybe not. I haven't been finding music that's like really sticking with me in as large like an abundance, as maybe years past. And yeah, I don't know if that's from a from a shift in priority, or maybe even just like, yeah, feeling discouraged from doing it or something. But yeah, one album I've been listening to lately, is this old album actually by this group called The Edge of Daybreak. It's an album called Eyes of Love, and yeah, it's a wild story. It's funny. Sam Shepard, so the Floating Points, he did one of those Amoeba "What's in My Bag" videos from like
Oh yeah.
several years ago, and in that video he pulls out this record, and he just kind of starts talking about it. They didn't even play any of the music from the actual record, but I was just so blown away by the story. It's this group, The Edge of Daybreak. They recorded one album, and all of the band members are actually inmates at a Baltimore like high security prison. And they recorded this album in one take, at the prison. They had like a so in the prison itself, there was, um, like a band room, and it
Mm,
just so happened that a bunch of different musicians who were, all incarcerated at the time, they would just kind of get in there, and it was very clear that a lot of them had like funk and jazz and like gospel influences. And they got together and they started jamming together, and then they started writing songs, and they actually got to practice their songs as a part of their community service. They went to like seniors homes and care homes, and they would play their music, so much that they just like practice it so much. And one of the vocalists, he had a connect, or he had someone that he wrote to outside of jail who had a recording studio and such. And they basically figured out a way to kind of make the recording studio mobile and kind of bring it to
mm,
the prison. um, and yeah, just due to the fact that the obviously, prisons being prisons, they were super strict about it, and they're like, all right, listen, you only have this like 4-hour window kind of deal. um, and they cranked out this 8-song album in one take, every
mm,
song in one take. um, and it's incredible. It's like these like really kind of like beautifully written, like some upbeat, some slowed down, like love songs. And
wow.
you like when you listen to it, it's just really fun, and really upbeat. But when you think about the context of like the fact that these men were all incarcerated when they like put out this music, it adds this like layer, this like little layer of like kind of sadness when you listen to it, just being like, damn, like these songs are really beautifully written, first of all, and just kind of like hearing the passion behind it, and hearing the energy behind it, it makes you, um yeah, it just makes you think like, oh, like, what if these men were free? What if they had the chance to like tour
Yeah.
and play this music and like really get the rotation that it deserved? One of the songs off the project, it made it onto like Baltimore radio, and it was like it was a song of the summer. And they were all still incarcerated when it was like popping, and
Mm,
it's just kind of this, there's a beautiful article that highlights all this. And yeah, at one point, they the lead singer just kind of says like when he eventually got out, which was about 3 years after, he came out of jail, just being like, everyone's gonna remember me, like I'm gonna, like they're gonna be like, yo, you're the lead singer of Edge of Daybreak. And he came out, and of course, 3 years gone, the fact that there was no way for them to build off the momentum of that song beyond being on the radio. He just kind of came out, and no one really knew who he was, you know?
Mm,
Um, yeah, really, really wild story. And I think, um, yeah, listening, truth, like, it's kind of a stretch, not really, but listening to this project and thinking about the conversations that, are continuing to happen, but like really, really, rightfully so, heightened last year, specifically around, prison abolition and like police abolition. um I can't help, this album is always just kind of a reminder, and just it's kept those ideas like on my mind when I listen to this album. But yeah, man, that's probably the one that's sitting with me or sticking with me the most right now.
mm.
um how about you?
Wait, so are all the guys still like they have? Well, not all of them. The lead singer's out, but the other members, do they still have long sentences?
I don't actually know. I think, um I can't remember actually from what the article. I believe the lead singer's still alive. I think some of them have maybe passed. um I'm actually not sure. I don't think
Oh,
anyone is still incarcerated. um yeah, I'm not sure.
okay. You said that was he released 3 years ago?
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is a project that was released. Let me find this for you. This is an album that was released in 1979.
Wow, wow. That's kind of amazing at that time period.
Yeah, yeah,
Jeez.
seriously, yeah. The way that it was
Wow.
put together is really incredible. Um, yeah, super, super cool. Super, super cool.
And it's kind of interesting, because I've been watching a lot of prison content, not on purpose, just like it would include scenes from movies where they're in prison or documentaries involving people in prison. And man, like I can't even take it anymore to be able to even watch that because
Mm,
prison is just like I can't wish that on anyone. That's just like not even my absolute worst enemy. It's just
yeah.
yeah, you're in prison physically, but also mentally,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Mm-hmm.
just stuck. There's no rehabilitation, and of course, it's low level crimes that we've heard of, incredibly
Mm-hmm.
low level. And of course, people that are well known commit major crimes and get like a joke of a sentence as well.
Slap on the wrist. Yeah.
But what's interesting is so that can be related to, of course, Bobby Schmurder
Mm,
and Rowdy Rebel, where
mm-hmm.
not some, where both of them put out hits in 2013. Computers still goes
Oh yeah.
wild. Like if you,
Yeah.
I'm sure once everything's back to normal and he'll be able to tour, he's gonna be playing that like every show and everybody's gonna go crazy. But
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Shmurda, like he might be released next month, and look at how the times have changed. Where 7 years and he's gonna be a star,
Mm-hmm.
when he's out.
Yeah.
Whereas imagine if that group was making me that kind of album in 2010,
That's right.
2008. Very, very, and sorry, what genre is this
Uh,
considered? Is this like funk?
R&B funk. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, so like, it could have been something. I mean, oh shoot. Oh,
Oh,
sorry, it just says my internet connection's
you're
unstable.
good.
But look at look at that music
Mm-hmm.
and uh and how it's started from funk to R&B to or you're a little shaky, but it's cool. To rap and how they're
Mm-hmm.
still able to maintain that popularity. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Incredible. That, I mean, yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. I also think, like, yeah, think about if that story, got circulated on social media, right? Um, if if social media was around in the 80s, but super wild, super, super wild. Um, so yeah, anyone who's listening, go check that album out. Eyes of Love, incredible opening track to that project.
Mhm.
But yeah, how about you, Navik? Is there one or a few projects that um, have been sticking with you to start the year?
Yeah, it's not just music. It's definitely TV or yeah, TV as well has helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Yeah, I'll just touch on the TV, like How to with John Wilson. I think is some of the best
Oh,
TV I've seen in years,
okay.
where
What's
he's
it
like,
about?
I don't know how to say he's a protege of Nathan Fielder. Nathan Fielder is just an executive producer on the show,
Okay.
but he's incredible. So obviously, I knew this was not going to be something simple, and basic. And he basically, have you seen the show?
I haven't. I haven't.
Oh yeah. So basically, he tries to teach you something and go into every type of information or bit about, like he did an episode on scaffolding,
Oh wow.
but then it starts here, but then goes to something incredibly deep usually. And like the last episode is incredible. It's on his it's funny. It's on his landlord, but she's an elderly woman,
Oh
and she's
wow.
like a super nice elderly woman
Mm.
who like gives him food and vegetables and stuff like that. And he says he has a vaping problem where he's addicted to what do you call them? What are those damn vapes called?
Jules.
Jewel, how can I forget? Jules, right? He's like, even when I'm around her, if I need to vape, I go upstairs to my room, vape real quick, and then let it out and come back, and watch TV with her. It's a very sweet episode
Mm.
if you want to just watch something that's, I guess, feel good
Right.
and not
Wholesome.
horrible.
Right.
Because the great thing about that last episode is everything leading up to that was filmed prior to the pandemic,
Mm.
and then the last episode, half of it went into pandemic,
Wow.
and it got really dark and
Mm.
kind of touched on that. So that's great. Watch Industry on HBO.
You did. Okay. Okay. I know lots
Yeah.
about it, but I've not watched this show in full. So I'd love to know what you think, because I take it you probably know some people. Maybe you graduated with them, or not. Maybe it's just people that you know who are deep in that life. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of follows like a group of young graduates at a like an investment banking firm. Like they're kind of on the floor of like a stock trading business, of a hedge fund. I don't know what the proper name for that is, but yeah, that's what it's about, and just kind of follows the intensity of their schedules, their lives, the competition, kind of in that world, right?
Yeah, no, exactly that. BBC show that got to deal with HBO, and it's on Crave, it's on all the HBO streaming. But I kind of wish that they got to deal with Netflix because then it'd be more available. Because I want a lot of people to see this.
You
Because
liked it,
oh yeah,
right
I
on.
definitely liked it a lot. Um, yeah, it was done well. There's some very wild scenes, but I also found out the creators are just regular guys
That's right.
that they worked in that field for like a couple years and were terrible at their job and instead wrote this,
Yeah,
you know.
that's right.
And it's a good story to hear. And they're like early 30s now after pitching and all that. And there's some wild moments like a guy jizzes onto a mirror and then he eats the jizz.
Jesus Christ.
So something that I've never seen on television before. I didn't
Wow.
think they'd go there, but it's HBO, it's not TV. All right, it's HBO.
Okay.
And now the relatability thing is, so I went to Ryerson Business School,
Elite, 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 elite.
yeah, ranked 972 out of all schools in Ontario. And
Oh yeah.
so I dealt with some people that were that serious, but nobody to industry caliber because they're incredibly tough and real in
Mm.
that show. But I know some people that went to Schulich, so I want them to tell me if they've experienced that kind of stressful life.
Yeah. 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 um because just from the clips that I've seen, or even just from the trailer, right, they're really trying to highlight the kind of extreme measures people have to go to, and taking pills and things like that to stay focused. And
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil too much of the show, but I know things get kind of hectic, sometimes fatal, for some of the young characters. So
Yeah.
yeah, I will say, actually, just from the little bits that I have seen, more than the show, I was actually really compelled by the music. I found that the music was really, really
Yeah.
cool. I was really intrigued by
Mhm.
that. um but yeah, man, I can't deny the breaks that I've had. I've watched a little bit of TV. I watched The Mandalorian. um
Mm.
got into that, was quite enjoyable. Same thing, Ludwig Göransson, the music on that, incredible.
Yeah.
Ludwig has really crushed it. The Tenet
Mm.
soundtrack, oh my gosh, like talking about like electronic music, I think last year I definitely got a little bit more into music making, which I'm excited to do more of this year. And I think from like listening and thinking about like movie scores, especially like that Tenet score, it's not one that I listen to religiously or anything like that, but periodically I will go back to it just to really listen to the ways that like those synth and electronic sounds were
Mm.
utilized to like really build tension and create incredible drama, um, same thing on the Mandalorian, like a lot of great electronic noises used, along with some unique instruments, and industry as well. A lot of synth use. I also finally watched Stranger Things, and
Really?
same thing. The synth use. I mean,
Yeah.
again, that's like a little bit more thematic in the sense that the emergence of synth in the 80s especially was massive, right? And they're using that again to really kind of paint a picture of the time, but so well done, so well done. So yeah, if anything,
Mm.
while I've been watching the shows and the shows have been interesting, I've really taken a strong liking to the or maybe a focus maybe on like the musical choices made on shows. And I've been really
Mm.
happy with what I've listened to so far, but I'm kind of curious to know. I would love to like go into. I would love to read up like what shows were given like really bad ratings, specifically on like the way that their score was put together or just how the music was.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about before how like the music supervisor for Insecure is awesome. They're just like
Mm.
they just handpick all of like these really great hip hop and R&B songs. There's like no original composition on Insecure, and that's like a unique feature that is cool and also really challenging, right? When it's like you have to pick a song that's already been made to set this mood, right?
Mm. And they always did. I mean, I think they had someone amazing as the music. It wasn't like it was like one of the greatest R&B artists ever. I'm trying to remember
It was
who it
Raphael
was.
Sadiq for
Raphael.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like if you get Raphael Sadiq, like it's gonna be amazing. Like
yeah, yeah,
nothing
yeah,
short of
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So that kind
Exactly.
of guarantees it. Or Quest, like that's kind of cheap when they go to like Raphael Sadiq or Questlove or something to get to be the music supervisor. Like,
Too easy.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
they just
great.
have incredible knowledge.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, man, I definitely want to watch Industry. Did you watch Succession?
You know what? I couldn't get into Succession. That's
True.
the only HBO show I just couldn't. Like, I'm even watching Sex in the City right now,
No way.
which I'm enjoying.
Okay.
You know,
True.
it's it's so weird that I'll tell a guy, yeah, I'm watching Sex in the City, and this what comes with it is, oh, it's a girl show, it's a chick show, but
Mm,
it's like, are women not supposed to be funny? If you think
talk to him.
about it, it's
Talk
just
to
they're
him.
funny. Like it's humor,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, why is it so odd? Because they're not saying anything wild.
Yeah.
It's stuff that we all talk about and are aware of.
Right.
Yes, it was in the early 2000s, and there's a lot of problematic stuff like
Oh, I can imagine.
they talk about in that show, right? Um, but it's cool, and yeah, I'm on that. But I'm gonna force myself into Succession eventually
No, no,
because I
no.
know
Don't
it's
don't force yourself. Don't
I
do it if you're
gotta.
not feeling it.
That's what the H does.
That's what the
The
age.
H, it's the H, you know. The
Oh
H.
my gosh. Um, we've
Mm.
uh we've pretty much
Okay.
come to the end of this episode here, but hey, this is gonna be the first of many for this year. We're getting back on track. We're excited to get some guests who we've always wanted to have on, or some folks that we maybe have learned about recently. Um, but listen, man, thanks for joining me here. Thanks for getting things back on track. Any parting words for the listeners out there?
Oh yeah, R.I.P. MF Doom. You know
RPMF Doom.
that was that like that's so it's great that not that he passed, of course, but that his family was able to keep it private because he passed in October
Hmm.
and nobody knew.
Yeah.
It's it's such an I mean, it's definitely some his fashion, like, it totally makes sense,
Mm,
for being that mysterious, but I just have to give it to him because it was always the music, it was always the art.
right.
It was never the appearance, which is, of course, the mask, and it obviously his passing did bring me back to how he came into music in the early
Mm,
90s, being like pretty much a boom bap
right.
rapper, and then obviously going through his brother's passing and taking a long break
Yeah.
from music and coming back as this like well machine, like coming
Yeah.
back as like a well organized, already prepped
Yeah.
machine, like as if somebody that had been rapping in that flow for like 7 years
Hmm.
came in, and then obviously he just did something that made rap more interesting to people who maybe weren't interested at the time.
Yeah.
Like he was one of the first. I think I've not one of the first, but maybe I want to say I got into him in like early high school, maybe even late middle
Wow.
school,
Wow.
and it just being like it was way different than what we were hearing at the time.
Hmm.
Because what I'd been used to is like 50
Yep.
and Hurricane Chris,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, that was it. And then hear a guy say so many interesting rhymes in like
Mm,
one sentence.
yeah. That's right.
So yeah, you
N-
gotta you gotta give it up to that man.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. Yeah. I don't know if I can fully speak on it, particularly because I think my relationship to MF Doom's music really only kind of began maybe only a couple of years back. I don't think I
Mm,
got into it in the same way that a lot of people that I know, including you, really did. In the way that it was pivotal towards like the way you understood or appreciated hip hop. Um, but as it happens quite often, you reflect and you start listening to someone's music and thinking about them and their impact post mortem. And that's very much been the case for me. I've admittedly, have played Mad Villainy on loop a fair bit, listening to it in sequence and out of sequence, just to yeah, to really take in. And of course, my mind will always immediately tend more towards the production. And I think it was like a no brainer that Mad Lib's production was going to be incredible. But I've
mm,
really tried to, with Mad Villainy especially, just take in the bars and really try and just embrace the flow, because MS flow is like, yeah, it's ever changing, rarely on beat, and that's like intentional. And yeah, yeah, so much to say about it, and I'm hopeful to kind of keep enjoying it, keep learning about it as the year passes. But definitely, RIP MF Doom.
mm. Yeah, I think that's a great way to end off our yearly episode.
Really early episode. Yeah, man. See you in 12 months. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot for listening. As always, this episode's available wherever you listen to your goddamn podcasts. Hope you enjoy, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
Take
Because
care. Bye
yeah,
bye.
see ya.